guys, it's Fida and today I've come up with a really delicious white cake recipe. Many of them had asked to upload white cake recipes. I've already uploaded so many vanilla recipes and many other sponge cake recipes, so if you want you can go check them out. But today I've come up with a white cake recipe. It has a really nice white color and it's super delicious. I'm not going to use any frosting in this, it's just the best the way it is. And we're not going to use oven for baking this cake, but if you want you can go ahead and bake it in the oven. I'm just going to use a large saucepan and keep the pan on top of a lid, and it's just going to bake perfectly fine. It's going to be really delicious, so without any further ado, let's get on to making it. So let's take a look at the ingredients that we'll need. 1 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 3/4 cup of granulated sugar, this is normal white granulated sugar, 3/4 cup of milk, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I'm using vanilla powder. You can also use vanilla extract, but then the white color of the cake will go if you use vanilla extract. So that's the reason I'm using vanilla powder. Or instead of vanilla extract, you can also use almond extract, just 1 teaspoon. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. We don't use baking soda in this recipe, only baking powder. 3 egg whites, 50 grams of unsalted butter. I have softened this butter so that we will be able to cream it with the sugar. So here I have a 9-inch pan which is greased with oil and lined with parchment paper. Instead of the parchment paper, all you can do is grease it with oil and dust it with some flour. So anything is going to work fine. Then here I have a bigger saucepan into which we're going to keep the pan with the cake batter. I'm just going to directly keep it with a small lid behind. I'm not going to put any salt or anything, just a lid. That will be enough. If you want, you can go ahead and add salt. It's totally going to work fine. After that, I'm just going to close it with the lid and preheat it before we start baking the cake. First, here I have a big bowl and I'm going to sift all the dry ingredients into this bowl. Here I have my all-purpose flour. I'm going to put that into it. Vanilla powder, add in the salt, baking powder, and then just sift it. Let's just give that a small mix, and I'm going to set it aside. So the dry ingredients are set aside, and now I'm going to make the wet ingredients. For that, here I have milk and the egg whites. Just pour the egg whites into the milk. Just until the egg whites and the milk is combined really well. So that's done, I'm going to set it aside. Next, here I have another bigger bowl into which we're going to cream the butter and sugar. I'm going to add in the butter first. That's 50 grams of butter. I'm going to set a hand beater because we're going to cream the butter and sugar with the hand beater. You can also do it with a whisk, but then it'll take a little bit more time. I'm going to add in all the sugar. I'm just going to scrape down the sides and continue beating until it's into a nice creamy consistency. Right now it's nice and fluffy. I'm just going to off the hand beater and set it aside. So now here the butter and sugar mixture is nice, creamy, light and fluffy. So I'm gonna add in the rest of the ingredients. I've also scraped down the sides. We're gonna start with the dry ingredients and end with the dry ingredients. So we're gonna divide the dry ingredients into 3 portions, starting with the dry, then in between we're gonna pour in the wet ingredients, and after that again the dry ingredients, wet ingredients, and lastly we'll finish off with the dry ingredients. So I'm gonna add in 1/3 portion of the dry ingredients first. Add in the second portion of the dry ingredients. Let's beat that again. Pour in the rest of the wet ingredients. Last portion of dry ingredients, I'm just gonna add that in. Let's just beat that one last time and then the batter is gonna be ready. So here the cake batter is totally ready, but the cake batter should be really thick. I'm just gonna scrape down the sides. So if you feel the batter is even more thicker than this, then you can add around a tablespoon or 2 of milk and keep mixing again, so you'll get a little bit more thinner batter. So this is a perfect consistency of this cake batter. Really thick. So let's pour it into the pan. I'm just going to use a spatula and spread it towards the sides and just flatten the top. Just tap it quite a few times. So let's keep it for baking. So here I have kept a lid on the bottom. You can also use salt if you want and then keep the lid on top. Anything will work fine. I'm just going to keep the pan on top and close it with the lid and let it sit in there and bake. And here it's been around 30 minutes. The lid is still closed. I'm gonna open it. It just took me around 30 to 35 minutes. It will differ according to your cake height. I'm just gonna insert a skewer, and if the skewer comes clean without any crumbs or raw batter, then you know the cake is perfectly baked. I'm going to take it out of the saucepan. After it's completely cooled, I'm going to run a knife along the sides. And I'm just going to release it from the pan. It's such an easy cake to make, and it doesn't need much ingredients. It's just butter, sugar, and the normal other dry ingredients and wet ingredients. And we're adding a very little amount of butter in this, just around 3 tablespoons of butter. So there's no extra fat, but then it's really tasty and really moist. I'm going to flip it onto a plate and remove the parchment paper from the bottom. And there you can see it's such a soft and nice cake. And now I'll cut it and show you. You can see how soft that is. It's really spongy and it's also really crumbly. And it's even more delicious, so hope you try it. And there, the cake is ready. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you liked it, and if you did, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up down below. Also subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Thanks once again, bye bye.